Hello, hi, welcome here on this channel for a Paris cultural vlog. Today I will be talking about a very interesting historical exhibition that is right now at the Musée des Archives Nationales, the archives, the National Archives. And then I'll show you another very fun adventure day 1 hour from Paris in the countryside. So the whole exhibition was about Le Marquis de Lafayette, and first thing first, les Galeries Lafayette were named after the Lafayette Street in Paris, and the Lafayette Street was named after Le Marquis de Lafayette. Le Marquis de Lafayette's whole name was Gilbert Dumotier de Lafayette, and he was born in 1757. He died in 1834. As an intro, the exhibition gave a quote from Chateaubriand, a very famous French writer, and the quote says, "In the New World, Monsieur de Lafayette contributed to the birth of a new society, and in the Old World, he contributed to the destruction of an aging society. Liberty invokes him in Washington, anarchy in Paris." His title was Le Marquis de Lafayette, as he was a descendant of provincial nobility on his father's side and heir of a huge fortune on his mother's side. Instead of serving Louis XVI at the court, his passion for Enlightenment ideas and freedom got him to pursue a military career very early on. He went to fight for the American War of Independence from 1775 to 1783. Doing so, he became a lifelong friend of George Washington. Afterwards, he played a role on the backstage of the French Revolution from 1789 till 1792. So Lafayette played a major role in political affairs on both sides of the Atlantic. And again, later on, he played a role in the Three-Day Revolution of 1830. Along the way, he established himself as a cultural intermediary between continents. During his lifetime, Lafayette's reputation was hardly limited to select circles. As a matter of fact, by making headlines and drawing the public's attention, he achieved celebrity status. Bear in mind that this celebrity status was very new at the time. This new notoriety was drawn by profound transformations in the public spheres, such as the expansion of the readership for both male and female communities. The mass production of prints and engravings, but also the increase of consumption manufactured objects, helped the emotional attachment to public figures to grow. Why would Lafayette be interested in fighting for the American independence in the first place? As a matter of fact, at the age of 19, he lost father in the 7 years American War against the British. Doing so, Lafayette laid the ground for his human rights activism. How fascinating to read this letter dated from December 1777 from Lafayette to George Washington. Lafayette had joined Washington's army staff in spring 1777 as a volunteer, and it seemed that this winter in 1777 was very harsh. In 1780, Lafayette embarked on this ship, l'Hermione, to inform Washington of the extraordinary terms of the French support, consisting of a naval force of 6 ships and 5,000 infantrymen. Lafayette became very actively involved in the anti-slavery movement, and his wife helped him a lot on this topic as he was experimenting gradual emancipation in French Guinea. However, in France, from 1790 onwards, several, we could say, smear campaigns were launched against Lafayette. These campaigns wanted to undermine Lafayette's popularity, and he was targeted by both the populists on one side and the counter-revolutionary on the other side. As he was suspected to prepare a military coup, he had to flee to Holland, and he was taken prisoner there for 5 years. Upon his return from captivity and exile, he dedicated himself to his private affairs. He was a critic of the authoritarian regime of Napoleon Bonaparte, and in 1804 he wrote to Jefferson, "To an absolute government I could not be a friend," speaking of Napoleon Bonaparte. Back then, French political life was hectic. Then in 1824, Lafayette took his last 18 months trip to the United States, and this trip took him to each of the 24 states of the Union. Thousands turned to see him at each stop. To sum up, from the 1780s to the 1830s, Lafayette supported major liberal causes and minorities. Doing so, at some point, he had to mobilize his own resources. So next, I'm going to show you another fun adventure day, just 1 hour from Paris by train. It will only cost you 2.5 euros times 2 to get there and have fun. And you can see here the Seine River is very clear. It's ahead of Paris, so it's nice, it's clear, it's quiet, nature is beautiful. You're just alone in nature and it's very peaceful. The purpose of this visit was to discover the house of a French poet-writer, Stéphane Mallarmé. He was living in Paris, but here he enjoyed gardening and being with friends. Here, this is la Fête du Pain on la place de Notre-Dame, facing Notre-Dame. It's like a huge bakery, they do it each year. It was the first time I was just going and have a look. I would say nothing so special, just a big open air bakery in front of Notre-Dame.
C'est incroyable.
Et ça permet aussi de réduire le sucre aussi.
D'accord,
Le sucre blanc,
d'accord. Et sinon, vous avez une boulangerie ici dans Paris
Non, moi je suis en brevet de maîtrise à plein cœur.
D'accord. Ah, bah c'est super. Ah oui, vous allez après essayer Merci, hein, merci.
Pas de souci.
Et voilà, c'est tout pour aujourd'hui. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have no clue what's going to be in the next one. Until next time, thank you for your time. Have a great day. Have fun.